Hey, chat. What's up, man? Oh, shit. Okay. Brian, Matt, old habits, my dude. What's good? Sunday night special, it is. Yes, sir. Look at that, man. All you guys just coming in. Professor, Richard, Day One, what's up, dude? Can you see something like this for this? Yes, let's see it. Discord. Yeah, man. A lot. So I've been doing a lot of analysis, psychoanalysis specifically on Amy, and yeah, man, we're here to talk about it. Here to talk about it. Zach, let's see. Love it, man. I love it. Yeah, no, for sure. That right there, man, is um pretty on par. I'll kind of show that too here. Based on accumulation, yeah, that looks perfect. I like the spring setup too, and even for the volatility zone in April, that lines up with it as well. So I do like that, man. And I've got some patterns here to kind of showcase a little bit of what you're showing there too. But yeah, so this is what I'm tracking right now. I'm gonna come over to the no background. I'll have you guys on here as well. Well, you guys should be on here. I don't know why it's not showing up. Okay, for this one. But so here's what I found, man, over the weekend. And it is, I was going to make a video on this, but I figured, you know what? It's Sunday. It's Sunday, man. We got a day. We got a day left for the market to open. Well, a day, less than a day. And I don't know, man. I just want to go live. Let's go live. Let's do it. Okay, so here's Bitcoin in 2018, and this pattern here is pretty close. It's not 1-to-1, but it's pretty close. I'm on the daily for both. So what I'm tracking here for distribution, kind of labeled everything here as well. We got two things. So we got volatility, which is AMC's pump and dump in July. And then down here, same thing, right? We got volatility, oversold territory on levels indicator. Okay, we cross that first band, we ride down, we accumulate, and then we go. We advance. Now, the reason I like this one here, for a few reasons, it's not just the way, I have it overlaid on top here as well. It's not just the way the structure of this pattern is. It's the timing, it's the bands, it's Bitcoin for one, and then also look at how much data we have back here to kind of support this setup here. So no, it doesn't ride all the way back to June. I think AMC was descending for much longer and distributing for much longer than Bitcoin here. Bitcoin was in advancing, distributes, and then it's in macro accumulation before going to advancing. So that's the only difference here is we're tracking a section of the cycle here. And really paying attention to the structure as well of what is happening inside accumulation. Apart from the drop here, because the drop is damn close, right? It looks great. But what's happening inside here is what I'm tracking right now. And to your point, Professor, on the Discord, that what you sent there, it looks very similar as well to the Bitcoin setup down here, where creates that wedge setup, and then right here on that retest comes down, and Bitcoin is showing it would come back up. I don't fully agree with the Bitcoin setup down here. I like NVAX a little bit better on that, but based on this, AMC has already created a new low, so we already know that the structure here on AMC is just slightly a little bit more bearish in the short term. But that doesn't really matter, right? Because we're tracking the volatility to occur in the same time frame, right? Going into February and April. So that's what's crazy about this correlation here. Like these are, I mean, look at the bands too. How it's like narrowing. It's narrowing the same way. That means that percentage wise, it fell in a similar fashion here. It's in volatility, inverse squeeze, trade sideways, and then it starts to pump. And this is just one, right? I found this one yesterday. I was playing with the pattern scanner, and with Bitcoin specifically, and then I saw this part of the chart, and I was like, dude, this looks a lot like AMC right now. AMC is basically doing this right now. So pretty interesting stuff. Let's go back to the chat here. Okay. All right. Zach, what's up, man? Brian, Joe, Liquid Swords. Okay, so and I think the title of this video before this was Understanding AMC Cycle, so I am going to talk about the AMC cycle as well. Just for those that are newer to the channel and want a little bit of feedback on how that works, I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about that. And then I'm going to kind of go over the short-term outlook. I know I posted a video on Friday about this, but I want to cover that a little bit more. And if you have any questions, just drop it in the chat. I can answer some questions too. Okay. So one thing too, guys, depending on what chart you're tracking, some charts have less data than others. NYSE, or if you have a different chart, I know TradingView I think provides like 2 or 3 that look completely different from each other. So depending on which one you're on, and you're tracking the similar, like the cycle, one thing that's not going to work, and I've already tried this, is using the cyclical lines, because there are sections in the cycle here. So if we run it back, 2021, okay, the cycle runs from May 13, okay, and it's 62 days long to July right here, right? But if you keep tracking this cyclical section here, this only takes into account the bars, not the actual days. And there's a lot of gaps in the chart, especially when you start to get in after August. After the whole ape thing, the chart is kind of messed up a little bit. So I don't trust these lines for the cycle. That's why I have my own cycle down here. You can see some of them are overlapping with each other. Even if I'm on, if I go on different time frames, they switch. It's super weird. 4 hour, the hourly right here. See how it like moves? It's super weird. And they're the same. I mean, they're all 62 days long. Like this is 62. You move it over here, 62, but it's a lot smaller. Super weird. So just like, that's one thing, right? That the chart is not adjusted correctly in time, and that's can sometimes give you incorrect data with, and you know, that's one of the things that we focus on here is time is one of the most important things. So using the cycle here, 62 days long, going into the next point of interest here in December, okay? And like I said on the last video, I said that going into it here, it's very likely that we have a bottom already. That right now we're in a period of accumulation, a very short period of accumulation. Going into next week, I see upside. I think it's going to happen very quickly. And here is one of the patterns we're tracking right now is the cycle from July of 2021 to November. Okay, so this is 4 cycles here, AMC inverse. And you can see right here, we'd be, if I flip the chart, you're gonna be able to recognize it, right? It's the AMC pennant that broke down, right? The AMC pennant that broke down, we are basically right here. Now, if you flip the chart, this didn't create a new high, just like down here we created a new low. That's the only difference, but it doesn't change where we think we are in the cycle, which is just, again, just we're doing a macro double bottom right now, trying to come back up and hit a level of resistance. So a descending level of resistance, which would be at $10 or $9.50, right around there. I think that's doable for this next POI coming up here in December. All right, let's flip it. Okay, and something else with this and the cycle. All right, so the cycle, guys, 62-day cycle runs every 62 days, and we track the first 12 to 15 days as a volatility zone. So that's why we're calling for the upside here. I don't think it's going to run more than what we normally expect on a volatility zone, but I do think we're going to see upside. And similar to your projection, Professor, on that, coming back up to hit those levels and then coming back down, it's possible that going into next year, we have that quick spring. It doesn't have to look, the same as the NVAX or the Bitcoin pattern, and definitely doesn't have to look the same as this one here. So even if it comes down to new lows, yeah, we might get that spring very quickly as the price starts to climb back up into February time when we're expecting major upside. Major upside expected in February, not on this next POI. Okay, so a few things I didn't cover on the last two videos, because those tend to cover, like some of the there's longer explanations for why I think we're gonna run in February, not in December. Has to do a lot with the market, and that's something I didn't cover in the last two videos, so I'm going to talk about that on this one. Okay. And guys, that the whole thing with, yes, the stock fell to the penny range, if you take into account the split and dilution and stuff, that is true. The price is where it's at now, but it doesn't change the fact that things can still climb up, right? It's unfortunate what happened with some of the things here, and some of the calls that management made. That's just unfortunate, but again, it doesn't change the fact that things can start climbing back up. Just because something fell to those ranges doesn't mean anything. Remember, psychological levels on this. AMC is not at $8. It's at $6.86, because again, dilution, reverse splits are very common in the markets, and they happen all the time. So we haven't seen the dollar range yet on AMC, and I hope we don't get there. But aside from that, right, if AMC starts to climb back up here on this next one, I think it's going to be the first step to see some nice upside in the long term. Okay, so this is these are my thoughts, man. These are my thoughts. I'm gonna pull up crypto as well, because I think this has a lot to do with crypto. But right now, the crypto projections have been way more accurate than AMC and the meme stocks, because the AMC and the meme stocks have just been dumping. One of the things that I said on the last stream was to pay attention to three phases that the markets are cycling right now. And I believe that AMC right now is in accumulation, right? But there's three. There's three that are happening, and I'm going to show you guys an example here of this. So let's do accumulation. We'll do this color. Accumulation. And then some stocks right now are in reaccumulation. Okay, doing this, we're going to bring over one of the stocks that I think is in reaccumulation. That's Carvana. Put this right here. Accumulation, reaccumulation. And then there's one more. There's advancing. There we go. Okay, accumulation, reaccumulation, advancing. When you see this in the markets, the patterns will always typically be bigger as they're coming up. So, for example, AMC right now, being in accumulation, you can see it's a lot smaller than the reaccumulation pattern for Carvana. Carvana's reaccumulation pattern is a lot bigger because it already accumulated. It came down first, accumulated. Now it's in reaccumulation. You're going to see a projector, which is what we call a projector pattern, and you can see it starting to pick back up. So what's the next phase for Carvana is very likely going to be advancing. And when that happens, typically you're going to see these stocks, the accumulation stocks, are the ones that are popping hard because they've been suppressed, like fully suppressed. So when is this going to happen? Well, let's bring over one more stock that we're going to bring actually a cryptocurrency in here that I think is in advancing right now. So Ordinals, this one, guys, crazy crypto play that we called upside for when it was trading at $3. Right now it's almost at 40. Crazy play. So you can see it's a little bit different in the crypto space with some of these meme stocks or meme cryptos. But this one, I would say, is already in advancing, and it happened very quickly. It happened a lot quicker than, say, this Carvana pattern. I think the entire crypto market right now is in advancing. They already reaccumulated. They already had accumulation. So advancing, right? Everything is pumping like crazy. Bitcoin just broke, I believe, 40K, let me see where Bitcoin is at. I don't want to give you guys the wrong data. See, it's close. Yeah, it's very close to 40K. It's at 39. It's about to reach there. But being Bitcoin is let me see if I can line these up correctly. Okay. So here's the thing about Bitcoin too. You can see it's like starting to climb back up. I think Bitcoin is it looks a little bit more like Carvana in that, but you can see it's already starting to go up. It's advancing. AMC is still on the macro. There's still a downtrend. We're about to turn around. Looks like accumulation. And then Carvana, again, same thing in that mid stage of reaccumulation. So with this, that means that the markets very likely are no longer in distribution, which is good. That's something that we were in for 2 years, but now we're not, because when we start to see this, these things cycle around, it's very unlikely that we're in distribution. There are very little stocks right now in the market that I think are in distribution right here. There are a few, but they're not many. I think most of the markets are in this about to break out. So a few things with this. So the reason that I think AMC is going to climb up, because coming back to the whole AMC thing, but if we have because I had the POI here in February, set for February. If we're expecting it to climb in February and we take a look at these other stocks in the market, they do have to be trailing up. The only way this wouldn't work is if we have something play out outside of the cycle and it's just a massive just squeeze or something, right? But if it's going to follow the cycle, then we take a look at everything else, and Bitcoin being the leader here in this market cycle, already advancing, getting ready to advance. We're tracking the gold pattern, right? The gold pattern saying that Bitcoin is going to cross and go into this liquidity zone up here at about 50K. That's the first step. If it does that, okay, it's very likely the entire markets are going to start to rally as well. And that means, Carvana is going to get ready to go back up, and AMC is going to start breaking out of accumulation. So I think by February time, based on the fractals we're tracking right now, Carvana, a lot of other patterns have POIs in February as well. And the entire crypto market is expected to peak in February. So what happened back is where I'm going to bring up something that happened over here. It's going to start to make sense, guys. Watch this. So before AMC was able to go up in June, what did the markets do? They dumped. The crypto markets dumped first. And one of the cryptocurrencies we were tracking was Ethereum Classic. For a long time, Ethereum Classic was tracking AMC. Right now, the correlation is not good between the two. And there seem to be other cryptocurrencies that are tracking a little bit better. But until we start to see more of that correlation, I'm not going to be tracking any of those. The correlation will be pretty clear once we start to see all these cryptocurrencies like squeeze. But they did it first. AMC had, they had the January event happen, and then the crypto market started to pump with it. Some of them came up in April. Others started to come up in February. So shortly right after that. So if we track something similar here, if the crypto markets are going to peak around February time, that gives it, quite a bit of time for it to come back down, test some levels of resistance, and then for all these stocks to be primed and ready to break out. And this is what, pull up Ethereum Classic here would be better for this. So where we got to pull this guy back. So here, see the two are tracking pretty good. And then, once this whole split thing happened, AMC came down, inverse squeeze, and Ethereum Classic started doing its own thing, right? It starts to break out, do its own thing. But it coming back to this crypto and AMC market cycle in January, you can see AMC goes up first while the markets here are in advancing. So technically AMC had two different, because it went up higher in June, right? It was 1,000%, traded sideways, and then went up about 800%. So they were the winners in 2021. I think in this cycle here, we have the crypto markets going first. And the crypto markets are, think of AMC back in 2021. If they're doing that first, and right now we're just accumulating, Ethereum Classic back here accumulating, everything else goes up, gets ready to come down, and then all that liquidity is then used for the markets. And it doesn't just apply to AMC, guys. We're tracking a bunch of other stocks in the market to pump. So this is a market event that would happen here, not just on AMC. But being that AMC has been suppressed the way it is, it gives a really good chance that it would turn around for the better, and then have nice upside potential. Okay. So let's see where I was about to pull up that same section here, because I was curious to see if it looked the same or not on Bitcoin. Bitcoin's looked really good. Look at this one here. So this is that same section we talked about, and AMC would be like right here, 2019, before it starts climbing back up. Now, the thing about this too, guys, And something else to keep an eye out for is like if it went up the same way, AMC would see quite a bit of upside. I mean, like we're talking, crossing the $15 range and then probably going up towards the $40 range in the shorter term going into April. I think that would be ideal. You can see that happen before. Okay, this would not be the first time something like this happens. Coming back here, right? AMC goes from 10 to 40. Right, we're currently trading at about 6. We are lower, so it's done this before, and it did it multiple times. 1, 2, yeah, it did it 2 times. 1, 2, yeah, 3 times, and then we had the breakout. So, a lot of suppression happening. A lot of suppression. And here's that pattern again, Bitcoin pattern. Right there. January, February, and then April. Man, so I like this looks very doable to me. I mean, considering the price double bottomed from January 2021 to, it's going to be 3 years in January here, guys. 3 years where the price comes back to a similar range. That's pretty crazy. Okay, a lot of stocks in the market, NVAX being one of them that we're tracking right now, has done this before. And unless the stock is just crap, bro, unless the fundamentals are just crap, there's no reason why this should be trading down here. You always got to track, like I tell everybody, like fundamentals are going to be important in the end. They're not important in the short term. I don't track any of that in the short term. But in the long term, I think if a dying company is actually dying and, like a Bed Bath and Beyond situation, that's completely different, right? At that point, it's very hard to keep a stock from climbing back up, but AMC is not in that case right now. I don't believe. So it makes this more likely to happen. But always got to remain skeptical, man. Always got to remain skeptical. So let's do some crypto analysis too, and I'm going to pull up the all-in-one indicator here for stocks also. So when was it? There's a POI coming up in the crypto markets I'm going to talk about, and this was using the all-in-one indicator again. I said a few streams ago, I gave 3 POIs that I was tracking in the crypto markets. All those 3 ended up going up like 20 to 30% in the following days. There was one that went up 140%, which was MDT. And the one cryptocurrency I'm tracking right now to see like pretty good upside is Litecoin. And this is not normally the approach I take, guys, because this is a, pretty highly diluted cryptocurrency, right? These guys typically don't go up the same way that you see a lot of these newer coins in when the crypto markets are in advancing, right? But the difference here between Litecoin and the entire crypto market is that right now, look at where it's at. It's in a lower range. You know how I found this? Again, using all-in-one crypto. Watch this. Guys, and this indicator is in the indicator pack I've talked about before. Okay, it's this little guy here. It's called all-in-one. All right, and it's a way to track the entire crypto market. For this one, I believe I went on the 3-day. Okay, I want to see a full macro chart here telling me which stocks are extremely oversold. So, for example, right now we can see Ordinals is beating the game, right? It's up 1,000% on the interval that I'm tracking right now. This one in yellow was CFX. Remember AI, okay? And when you start to see anything down here, that's what I'm tracking. I want to see what's oversold. And this guy right here in purple is Litecoin. You can see it up here. It's up negative 4.6%. At the very bottom, these are higher volatility cryptos, so I'm not tracking these two, but I am tracking Litecoin. It's the one that is the absolute lowest in purple. So very similar approach I took to the other three cryptocurrencies we were tracking for upside, except there I did do a little bit more of a pattern analysis. And with Litecoin, I did run a pattern and came up with this one here. It's actually AMC, I believe. Let me see where it is, because it looked really good and like basically calling for upside in the next few days. What's up with this, man? BingX giving like two different charts. Look at that. I have my little POI set list here. Alarm, POI, December 6th. And let me take this out so I can show you guys the pattern. Here it is, AMC. Talk about it a little bit here. So it is AMC when it came up. Now, the reason I pulled this pattern up here, originally I was tracking BNB to do something like this. So they both have the potential to do something where they kind of just go up very quickly. I don't see it happening the same way, but I do see upside. I do like this a lot. I think that it's respecting the levels, it's creating higher lows, which is good, and it's very oversold compared to the entire crypto market. So Litecoin, I think, is going to go up in the next few days. Tracking this one for some nice upside. So this one, and then also have some other cryptocurrencies that we're tracking. Pepe being one of them. Now, Pepe did stop tracking the Shiba pattern, but there are many other patterns we're tracking right now. And here's one of them, AMC. So AMC, being that Pepe is a meme, like it's a meme cryptocurrency, guys. One of the ways we were able to spot this first breakout here was using the AMC cycle here in November, right? So again, this one in the crypto markets is not in advancing yet. This one's in reaccumulation. Similar to AMC, you could have said this is reaccumulation before it went into advancing and then distribution, right? Accumulation, reaccumulation, advancing up here. This isn't calling for upside until December, end of December, but it's also respecting and tracking a lot of these POIs the same way. I think the levels are a little bit off, but it did hit so from the low here, it didn't hit that high. It didn't come all the way down to the 8 range. It's just trading on this between the 10, 5, or 15 and 10. It's trading between 15 and 10. And yeah, dude, hovering projector, classic hovering projector pattern. We can see it a little bit more with the levels indicator. See that hovering projector. Here it is. So there's this one, and then we also have we had a few other ones that I was tracking, but again, like for example, the Shiba, it didn't track right away after that. So the algorithm here decided to do something else. I'm still going to be tracking the same levels, so I think eventually it will reach the 25 range, especially going up to here in December. You can see that it's like right in between. So 20 to 25, and then here it would just keep going from there to the 40 range. Yeah, no, I'm still very bullish on Pepe. I think it's just behind. It's just like AMC and GameStop back in the day, they would not go up until until the stock market peaked. And right now the crypto markets have not peaked yet. So this is like the new Shiba and Doge, when they would just rally and go up when the markets are getting ready to come down. Okay. Said I was going to pull up all in one on with the stock market here, show you guys some of the stocks that are getting ready to break out, some of the ones that are oversold. Yep, we do have charge point down there. Chart point, we have this one here. Alien for sure, for sure. Happy to do it. Happy to do it. Yeah, and in the markets here, guys, it doesn't look as great, right, compared to crypto markets trade 24/7. You can see the pattern a little bit better and with the markets here. There's just so many gaps because of the after-hour session. So sometimes it is a little bit harder to see what's going on. Parameters are still the same, though. I use 50. And it's just another way to also see and understand a little bit of how stocks trade compared to the markets, right? S&P trailing up. And the crazy part right now is that with a lot of these stocks here, there's 100, they're not, so the markets are like pumping like crazy here, and really the entire market is not doing much. Like, you're not seeing any stocks go above what happened in August, and then also what happened in January. There's a lot more volatility then than now. So that's another signal here too, is sometimes, and why I think we're in accumulation in the overall markets, even SPY here in accumulation. Like, I think we're gonna break 480 next year. Maybe not this year, but I think next year we'll break it. So here's volatility 1, volatility 2, and I talked about the triple top setup. Look at that again. Another thing, February time, we talked about the markets peaking in the crypto markets would be that third volatility event into February. So what does that mean? Markets peak, meme stocks get ready to climb back up. We know that there is correlation with AMC and the stock market. Stock market peaking first, then AMC going up, having some kind of squeeze, and then the market's coming down from there. So a lot of these things, they're just repeating themselves. Okay, let's look at the crypto market all in one on the daily. See how different it looks. The cool thing about the crypto markets here, and you can kind of see it a little bit better too, it takes the total ROC as well. So it's taking everything plus the total percent change, which gives you a nice average of everything that's happening. Kind of look at this. Guys, this thing is creating, I wish I could flip it for you. I don't think I can with an indicator, or I wouldn't know how. Let's see. I don't think you can. I think it'll only flip the actual chart. But it's the arc, man. It's the AMC arc right here. And if you come back to it, it would be calling for that upside very quickly. Like, it would basically come all the way up to 120, and that's the average, guys. So come back to that level here. Look at what happened in that was September 2021. Markets traded sideways for a little bit, and then they came down in November. Okay, so the crypto market started to come down in November. Here's Bitcoin again. If we track that here, we would be somewhere in, about to break out here in probably August. Yeah, right here, August. Let's see if that checks out. August, and then peak. See? Right there, bro. February. That, like, going into August, February, if we're hitting and tracking similar levels, we're currently at about 40, 30, 35, 35 here. From there would mean that the crypto markets would peak somewhere around February time. So something else, guys. Crazy, crazy stuff. Where is the gold pattern to? I don't know why this one's flipped. Here's gold. All right, here's the peak. Gold. Right around February, trade sideways for a bit. And guys, this is not calling for downside for good. Like, February time is just a major dump, but dump that would come down and then reverse back up, like, to make the crypto markets go up even higher. I do agree with this pattern here, calling for a full break here at 70. Very similar to gold, guys. We've been tracking this since June, I believe, or May of this year, and so far, I mean, it's doing its thing. It's riding up, getting ready to break. And yeah, I don't think we're gonna see 15 anymore or 10 on Bitcoin. It's just testing these higher lows. We have not broken a major low on Bitcoin since, no, we haven't broken it. So things are looking good in the crypto markets. Things are looking good. Yeah, so we covered, and on the Discord we are tracking. We're tracking a few stocks that are getting ready to turn around again. Most of the ones that we're tracking right now are in accumulation and they're breaking out. But the difference between AMC is that it's at the start or in between accumulation, and these stocks have already accumulated and they're basically at the spring getting ready to turn around. There's a lot of them. And one of them is Paramount. Paramount on the POI that we're tracking right now is climbing up, and I'm personally waiting for this one. There's one pattern we're tracking. For this one, I wouldn't see upside just yet. I know it's climbing up and getting ready to break out, but it's still within that range that I talked about here. I know it's pushing up very quickly. It can just keep pushing and go up to the 25 level that we're talking about. But based on the time here, this is calling for a double bottom. So it can still do that going into next year, but I'm still going to be tracking upside in case that does happen. But on the macro of things, this pattern right now is looking very good, overlaid on top of Paramount. Haven't seen one like with Paramount. The thing is, like, this was it. I feel like this type of pattern doesn't happen in the markets. It's not a very common one, but for some reason the crypto markets right now are doing this, and it just kind of proves more that the algorithm, these stocks that are bottoming, they look like this, they're starting to squeeze, right? They're starting to break out. Super weird. But we saw the same thing with AMC, man, and back in 2021, the same kinds of signals that we're seeing now with these other stocks. So I think there's some kind of like communication, system in the algorithms. They like repeat these patterns or something on the micro charts, and I don't know. It's just super weird to me that everything here is lining up this way. It's like, what, man? What pumps this much, dumps the same way, distributes the same way, you double bottom basically the same way? I mean, Moderna was one of the patterns we tracked for over a year in distribution, and then it flipped on the POI. So Very crazy algorithms, guys. When they flip, you see the complete inverse effect take place. Okay, so some of the things I'm tracking though using the indicators here, guys. So we're gonna pull up all the indicators that I have on the Discord. So there's and the ones I use for analysis in the market. So one of the ones that we use is spots. We use levels. I already have levels on here, but I want to show you guys spots. And spots is really good at showing you a very smooth, like, average of the chart. And then we have these crosses using cycle parameters that are also very accurate. So whenever you get a pink spot, that usually is an indicator that the stock is going to come down. Whenever you get a blue spot, it's an indicator that the stock is going to go up. I use these a lot on the bigger time frames. I don't like using these on the small time frames because there's more volatility in the short term, and it means there's also more there's also more room for it not to be as accurate. But overall, this thing is pretty freaking accurate. I mean, just look at this section here, right? Pink goes all the way down, blue goes up. You got a little fake out. Whenever you have a short curve with an inverse spot, that's very bearish or very bullish. For example, right here, very short pink curve with a blue spot, and then you have this full-on squeeze, right? So very nice indicator here. We have a blue spot, which is good. And typically these curve lines, when the stock is getting ready to turn around, you will see them act very similar to the levels indicator in that they use these as support or resistance. But I think levels is better for that. So levels is the other indicator right here. You can see we are currently in overbought territory. Right away as it comes in, though, that is not bearish. That's the only difference between the two indicators. You fully cross, and look at what happens over here. Maybe in the short term, you can see the stock come down, but if it stays up there, you're just going to see a lot of green for a little while. So what I think is going to happen, though, okay, because there is some volume here, there's only two scenarios, but if it crosses the 1750 range, fully crosses and goes, there is no volume right here. There's a massive gap. So it's very likely that this is going to fully push through, okay, and then hits that first level of resistance on this pattern, which is going to be 25, right? 25. Okay, otherwise, is that double bottom setup, comes back to 10 and then creates a new low before turning around for good. There's one more indicator I use. It's called change. And this one here is, I think, probably my favorite one. But it tells you the rate of change of the stock. I think it's better than RSI because it respects the levels of support and resistance, and it's not, these values aren't like normalized, right? You don't have a, 1 to -1 and then it just tracks between there. Like you can treat this as a chart. I draw my levels of support and resistance, and it typically respects them. I mean, look at this. Still creating higher lows to the downside, full breakout. And historically, you can see that this stock has came down. I'll show you guys another an example of this. But for example, back here, it liked to come down on that 20% range. And actually, just in general, there's some correlation with the 20% being a level of resistance. Okay, right around here, resistance. But it fully broke, right? It fully broke it. And back here, it seems like the 40% range is a level to track for downside. And also, we're coming up to resistance here at 57. So I treat it the same way, but sometimes you can't see this stuff on the chart, which is the only difference. And yeah, why I like this one, man. So this is what I use for the all-in-one, the one that takes the entire market and kind of clumps it together. 20 stocks, but you can just use it over and over again. I have 5 of them set, so I have 100. But it's the same formula that we use for that indicator. So yeah, this one, I'm on the daily here. The hourly is pretty good. All right. Hourly is pretty good on this one too. Okay, so I'm gonna pull up some reference patterns here to show you guys some reference patterns. All right, so Lune C is the first one here. So here is the breakout Luna just had, a Luna Classic. And take a look at this. Okay, so this little section here, which is what we call an arc up, typically you have one volatility event where the price goes up like crazy. This goes up almost 100%, gets shut down very quickly, and then comes back up. You create that arc formation. We're used to this because of AMC. Similar to Paramount right now, it's doing that. The only difference is between the two, this one is a little bit more inclined. It doesn't really trade sideways. It does cross resistance, and now it wants to push back up. So if we took the same levels, I know this pattern is not fully developed yet. We can't really use it for reference tracking a peak, because if it keeps going higher, that would be more levels to track on this. But I'm going to use it anyways, just to show you guys where it can go if it's tracking a bullish pattern right now. So right now we seem to be right here, and if things don't flip, right, if they don't turn back down and they don't start trading sideways, I would see this turning around on this POI here. So if it's going to come down and double bottom, it'll very likely do it on this section here, because again, with these fractals, guys, that we track, and we line them up with where there's a lot of volume or a spike or downside, typically that's where we experience that volatility here. So, and I do like this pattern here. I think a lot of different stocks are doing this. Another one you can track is Ordinals. Has already done this too, but it did it a little bit ago. It did it. What is going on? There wasn't like enough data on that one. Weird. Right here. It looks a little different. Same thing. All right, so we got the little arc formation here, trade sideways, and then it goes up like that. So I think this one would show us a little bit more, and then it enters reaccumulation. So Ordinal's very weird. It entered a reaccumulation in November, and then just now it started to go up again like crazy. This thing is not stopping. Love it. Yeah, Paramount, man. David, I did go over Pepe. It should be right in between the video. We did cover Pepe here as well. Pepe, and right now, so something else that I'm tracking. I know I said I was going to talk about GameStop. So GameStop, one of the things I'm tracking right now for GameStop, and this is a in the short term, obviously there's a volatility event here, and it did go up very quickly. It did break that first level here. It's one of the things I talked about on the stream last week. I didn't think this was going to go up, to 17, or I thought it was going to come down and trade sideways. But the difference between so because AMC is not known to have the same amount of, like, GME, I feel like pumps and dumps a lot more. I mean, just look at how much volatility we get here, right? It goes up, comes down, Volatility happens very quickly too, in a matter of days. So that's the difference between the two, I think. Now, I'm personally not the reason why I'm not more bullish on GME than AMC is if you look at the entire chart here, it looks a lot like BNB in that there's just a massive gap down here, and I don't like that. I think that AMC came down to the levels, right, to new levels in the price chart, not the market cap chart, but in the price chart. And GME hasn't done that, and that's the only thing that I don't like about a stock is if there's a massive gap here, I don't, it can go up and down all at once, but right now the entire crypto market and the entire stock market came down to these low levels, all the ones that are turning around. So in my opinion, I think GME is one of the only stocks, along with a few others, that are in distribution and are getting ready to turn around. Like once it, creates that bottom, I think GME is just going to be a little bit late in the game compared to these other stocks. It's the only one I think, but one thing to watch out for with GME, and for this not to be the case, is for it to cross 27. And I know that's pretty far. I mean, we're talking 100% here, but if it crosses 27 and goes up, then I think that thesis is no longer at play. But if you start to see this turn around and it goes down to 11, then it will very likely just be another, pump and dump, and then you start to see it distribute again. So it's just something to watch out for here with GME. With that here, I'll show you guys this little pattern here. Let's see. It's crazy. We were tracking the BNB BNT premium chart was showing upside on GME here in the short term, which is crazy, dude. It hit the levels to a T too. Comes up and then starts climbing. The BNB BNT premium chart here, though, it does come down. Behaves a little bit different with extreme volatility. There is this one. Here it is. Here's the other one. Look at this. It was calling for downside right here. Obviously, it didn't come up to 21. But look. The structure was the same. Volatility window hits, comes down the same way. And there's a few other ones I'm tracking on GME. Which one was this one? Oh, this is one I found on the pattern scanner. So the pattern scanner, guys, was showing a lot of correlation with 2000, I believe 17 for GME. Not in GME's pattern, but a lot of them were showing that for GME. All right, not for AMC. Not getting those confused. And going back to some of these other patterns. We use this one to track this volatility zone here. Just the power, man. The power of volatility zones are patterns. Crazy. Pattern scanner pulled this one up here. And then POI hits right here. Goes up. Didn't go up the same way, but volatility, experience volatility on that. Okay, so here is GME in what we thought was accumulation before, and it ended up distributing here. So it ended up coming down. There's a lot, dude. Holy crap. And then AMC. We were tracking AMC here too. Talked about the inverse patterns that we're tracking here, and then it started tracking something else. Anyways, that's fun. That's fun. Oh, shoot. Did Bitcoin just cross 40,000? Yeah, it just crossed, dude. Oh no, it did do it earlier, man. I knew like I think I had a weird I don't know why it wasn't showing on Binance. It did cross. It did cross 40K. Yeah. Good stuff. All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, man. I went live for an hour. I just wanted to touch base on the cycle a little bit for those that are new to it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. And you guys will see me live this week at some point. We do have the POI coming up. So if you want to check that video out, the volatility zone is the previous video. And it talks about the short-term analysis on AMC more in depth. So check that out. And I will see you guys next time. All right. Bye-bye.